If two forces are in equilibrium, what state is the object in? At rest or moving with constant velocity. What is the principle by which a camera lens gathers light to take a photo? Refraction and focusing. At which parts of a magnet is the magnetic field strongest? The north and south poles. When a gas changes into a liquid, how does the motion of its particles change? The particles slow down. Which brain structure acts as an intermediary for regulating sensation and movement? The thalamus. How are different senses like vision, hearing, and smell distinguished from each other? By the types of receptors. Which of sound and light can travel without a medium? Light. Why do we see lightning before hearing thunder? Because light travels faster than sound. How should a circuit be connected to keep a light bulb lit if another bulb goes out? In parallel. What device automatically cuts off the current when too much flows? A fuse. What positive effect does volcanic activity have on Earth's ecosystems? Creation of fertile soil. Why can sedimentary rocks reveal changes in climate? Because of layer composition and fossils. What pathway carries external stimuli to the brain? Sensory nerves. What covers about 70% of Earth's surface? Water. What is the process called when a solid changes into a liquid? Melting, fusion. What is the reaction called in which a substance combines with oxygen? Oxidation. What is a representative substance that forms ionic bonds? Sodium chloride. What substances are produced when an acid and a base react? Salt and water. What property of a solution turns litmus paper blue? Basic, alkaline. Which branch of chemistry studies compounds mainly composed of carbon? Organic chemistry. Which allotrope of carbon is used for pencil lead? Graphite. What substance is produced when iron reacts with oxygen in the air? Iron oxide. What type of molecule explains why detergents or soaps can remove grease? Surfactant. What is the positively charged part located at the center of an atom called? Atomic nucleus. What is the smallest unit of any substance? Atom. What is formed when two or more atoms bond chemically? Molecule. What state does a substance exist in between its melting point and boiling point? Liquid. What is the phenomenon called when a plant's roots grow downward in response to gravity? Gravitropism. In an ecosystem, what is a group of individuals of the same species living together called? Population. What structures in plant roots absorb water and minerals? Root hairs. In the human digestive system, where does most nutrient absorption occur? Small intestine. Which hormone lowers blood glucose levels in the human body? Insulin. In animal embryogenesis, what is the stage called when cells divide and form a hollow spherical structure? Blastula. Among the 3 germ layers formed during vertebrate development, which layer gives rise to muscles and bones? Mesoderm. In which layer of Earth's atmosphere is the ozone layer located? Stratosphere. What are the small solid particles produced during a volcanic eruption called? Volcanic ash. What do you call the various pieces that make up Earth's surface? Plates. What is a representative mountain range formed by the collision of 2 continental plates? The Himalayas. What is the process called in which water vapor changes into liquid as clouds form? Condensation. What is the phenomenon called in which the moon's appearance changes over time? Lunar phases. What is the property that impedes the flow of electric current called? Resistance. How is an object's momentum defined? The product of mass and velocity. What is the speed of electromagnetic waves equal to? The speed of light in vacuum. What do Maxwell's equations comprehensively describe? The relationship between electric and magnetic fields. With what is the Fermi energy associated? A state where temperatures are equal and there is no heat flow. What are the primary pollutants that cause acid rain? Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides. What is the largest organ in the human body? The skin. What is the force called that a current-carrying wire experiences in a magnetic field? Electromagnetic force. Where is the deepest place on Earth? The Mariana Trench. Which connection method reduces the total resistance in an electrical circuit? Parallel connection. Which nuclear particle has a greater mass than a proton? Neutron. Which physical quantity has the same units as work? Energy. What is the frictional force called at the moment an object is just about to start moving? Maximum static friction. What is the velocity of an object at the highest point when thrown vertically upward? Zero. How is an object's acceleration related to the force acting on it? It is proportional. Why does a parachute fall slowly? Because of air resistance. Among solids, liquids, and gases, in which does sound travel the fastest? Solids. How does electric current behave when a wire is thicker? It flows more easily. If multiple bulbs are connected in series, how does their brightness change? They become dimmer. What properties do substances in the gaseous state have? Their shape and volume change. They have no fixed shape or volume. Which organelle produces energy within the cell? Mitochondria. What is the dough-like layer beneath the crust called? The mantle. What phenomena frequently occur at the boundaries where plates meet? Earthquakes and volcanoes. What is an area with active volcanic activity called? The ring of fire. What type of wave does a microwave oven use? Microwaves. What are the main principles that enable AI to exhibit human-like language abilities and behavior patterns? Machine learning and artificial neural networks. Why can a smartwatch measure heart rate? Because it uses optical sensors. What is the most fundamental chemical element that composes all life on Earth? Carbon. What is at the center of the solar system? The Sun. What do you call the group of celestial bodies that orbit the Sun? The solar system. What position does Earth hold in the solar system from the Sun? The third planet from the Sun. What role do motor neurons play? Transmit commands to muscles. What device does a robot need to perceive its surrounding environment? Sensors. What overall electrical charge does an atom have? Neutral. What do we call atoms of the same element that have different numbers of neutrons? Isotopes. Why do the lungs move more actively during exercise? Because oxygen uptake increases. Which hormone is released a lot during stress? Cortisol. What is the collective name for the brain regions responsible for emotions? The limbic system. What is the main force that holds a galaxy together? Gravity, including contributions from stars and dark matter. Why is it easy to slip on an icy road? Because friction is low. Under what condition does resonance occur easily? When the frequencies are the same. By what phenomenon is an echo produced? Reflection. Why is it difficult to hear if the eardrum is damaged? Because vibrations cannot be transmitted. What is the technology that transmits sound without using earphones? Bone conduction. What appears around a conductor when current flows through it? A magnetic field. Why does a compass move near a magnet? Because of the influence of the magnetic field. Under what condition can a liquid evaporate? When molecules leave from the surface. Why do nerve cells have a branching, tree-like shape? To efficiently transmit signals. What is a rock called that forms when sediments are compacted and hardened? Sedimentary rock. Why do mountains gradually become lower over time? Weathering and erosion. What role does the sun play for life on Earth? Provides energy. What do scientists mainly look for when searching for life? Water. For which life process in the atmosphere is oxygen essential? Respiration. Why can life exist on Earth? Presence of water and an atmosphere. On what type of material does AI mainly base its learning? Big data. Into which two major parts is the nervous system divided? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. What device helps a robot perform precise movements? Control unit. Which component changes a robot's direction when it moves? Servo motor. Why does the heart beat strongly during activity? To increase blood supply. Why can wearable devices detect sleep states? Analysis of physiological data. On what information does the brain base the formation of emotions? Interpretation of sensory information. What weaker brain function makes it difficult to control anger? Emotion regulation ability. What characterizes a galaxy that forms many stars? Abundant gas and dust. Why does your face appear in a mirror? Reflection. Why does a magnet move near a current-carrying wire? Because the current produces a magnetic field. What shape does the magnetic field around a current-carrying wire take? Circular, concentric around the wire. What is the primary function of the kidneys? Removal of waste products. By which natural factors does weathering primarily occur? Rain, wind, and temperature changes. In which part of a river does a delta form? The downstream, lower course. What is a structure called where rock layers are bent? A fold. Why does a mobile phone battery generate heat? Because of internal electrical resistance. Why attach an insulating film to a window? To reduce heat loss. What vibration principle allows an electronic watch to keep time? Oscillations with a fixed period. Why are cities warmer than rural areas? Because of the urban heat island effect. Why does laundry dry even in cold winter? Because evaporation occurs even at low temperatures. Why can space exploration robots operate over long distances? Because of remote control technology. Why can infectious diseases increase when global temperatures rise? Because pathogen habitats expand. What function does a vacuum cleaner filter perform? It filters out dust. Which component in an autonomous vehicle integrates various information? The central control unit. What feature makes a drone land automatically when its battery is low? Automatic return, return to home, function. What ability does immunity give the body? To recognize and respond to pathogens. Which planet has the longest rotation period in the solar system? Venus. Which part of the brain is important for storing memories? Hippocampus. What function does a robot need to avoid objects or change direction? Obstacle avoidance. What is used to block radiation during medical X-rays? Lead apron. How is carbon dioxide produced during exercise removed from the body? Exhalation, breathing. What helps the heart rate recover quickly after exercise? Deep breathing. What problem can occur if breathing is irregular during exercise? Muscle fatigue. Among the gases that make up Earth's atmosphere, which is the second most abundant after nitrogen? Oxygen. Approximately how many kilometers does light travel in vacuum in 1 second? About 300,000 kilometers. In a chemical reaction, what does a catalyst primarily lower? Activation energy. If a substance has a pH less than 7, what property does the solution have? Acidic. What is the main greenhouse gas released when burning materials? Carbon dioxide. What term describes one orbit of the Sun around the center of the galaxy? Galactic year. In cellular respiration, which stage produces the most ATP? Electron transport chain. Which planet in the solar system has the fastest rotation? Jupiter. What type of rock forms when surface rocks are weathered, eroded, deposited, and lithified? Sedimentary rock. What type of chemical reaction involves a decrease in the oxidation number of an element? Reduction. How many degrees per day is the diurnal motion caused by Earth's rotation described as? About 360 degrees. What organelle synthesizes proteins inside the cell? Ribosome. Which alkali metal reacts most violently with water? Cesium. What is the SI unit for magnetic flux density used to express the external magnetic field strength for magnetizing a permanent magnet? Tesla. What are the winds called that blow near the surface in tropical regions? Trade winds. What observational method creates a large virtual aperture by combining multiple radio telescopes? Radio interferometry. What heat-resistant structure do bacteria form to enter a dormant state when nutrients are lacking? Spore. What is the physical constant symbol that denotes the speed of light in vacuum? C. What constant describes the relationship between the expansion rate of the universe and the distance to galaxies? Hubble constant. What is the phenomenon in which electrical resistance disappears in certain materials when cooled near 0 K? Superconductivity. What is the specific term for the movement of water across a cell membrane? Osmosis. What type of plate boundary is formed where oceanic plates are created at the seafloor? Divergent plate boundary. What technique involves drilling deep ice cores from polar glaciers to study past atmospheric composition? Ice core drilling. What protective technology prevents overheating during spacecraft re-entry? Thermal shielding. Which internal layer of Earth generates its magnetic field? Outer core. Which of Newton's laws describes action and reaction? Third law. What reference speed denotes travel faster than the speed of sound? Mach 1. What is the main polysaccharide component of plant cell walls? Cellulose. What traditional facility produces salt by evaporating seawater? Salt pan. What is the unit used to express the magnitude of earthquakes? Richter scale. Approximately what is the tilt angle of Earth's rotational axis? Approximately 23.5 degrees. What is the basic unit that makes up proteins? Amino acids. What is the property of a moving object to remain in motion called? Inertia. What is the highest point of a wave called? Crest. What do we call a substance that changes the rate of a chemical reaction without being consumed? Catalyst. Which layer of Earth's atmosphere is located at the greatest altitude? Exosphere. What symbol represents the hydrogen ion concentration index? pH. What is the phenomenon called when plants bend and grow toward light? Phototropism. In what order are the Sun, Moon, and Earth aligned during a solar eclipse? Sun, Moon, Earth. When light is reflected from a mirror, how do the angles of incidence and reflection compare? They are equal. What do we call a pure substance made of only one kind of atom? Element. In which direction does wind blow relative to pressure systems? From high-pressure areas to low-pressure areas. What is the phenomenon called when a substance burns and produces light and heat? Combustion. What do we call a vast collection of stars grouped together? Galaxy. What intrinsic quantity of an object represents its resistance to acceleration and its inertia? Mass. What is the law that states the total mass of reactants and products remains unchanged in a chemical reaction? Law of conservation of mass. Which part of a nerve cell transmits signals between cells? Synapse. Which type of chemical bond is formed when two atoms share electrons? Covalent bond. What are the three levels that make up biodiversity? Genes, species, and ecosystems. What biological characteristic is associated with viruses? Self-replication. What is the center of a typhoon called, and what is the weather like there? The eye of the typhoon, clear skies. What are the defense proteins produced by the body against specific pathogens? Antibodies. Which type of wave can propagate even in a vacuum? Electromagnetic waves. Why do aftershocks continue after an earthquake? Readjustment of crustal stress. What phenomenon was plate tectonics introduced to explain? Crustal movements. Why do water droplets on a car windshield not spread out but run off? Hydrophobic coating. If a sensory organ is injured, what problem occurs in the nerve transmission process? Inability to perceive stimuli. What problem occurs if radiation damages DNA? Mutations. What is common between alpha and beta rays? Particle radiation. Under what conditions does nuclear fusion occur more easily? High temperature and high pressure. If emotional regulation is difficult, what activities might help? Keeping a journal or talking with others. Does experiencing a variety of emotions help brain development? Yes, it stimulates the brain. What is the most common type of galaxy in the universe? Dwarf elliptical galaxies. What is the evidence that the Milky Way is rotating? Observed motions of stars. What shape would the Milky Way appear if viewed from above? A spiral shape. What substance increases the rate of a chemical reaction? Catalyst. What nucleic acid contains the genetic information of organisms? DNA. What device converts electrical energy into chemical energy? Electrolytic cell. How long does it take for Earth to complete one rotation? Approximately 24 hours. What physical quantity is defined as the product of mass and velocity? Momentum. What is the phenomenon called when a solid changes directly into a gas? Sublimation. What is the average distance from Earth's center to its surface in kilometers? Approximately 6,370 kilometers. Thanks for watching all the way through. Share your science knowledge in the comments. Your support helps us create even more science quizzes. See you in the next one.